Good morning, guys. Well, I say good morning, it's actually like 2 o'clock in the afternoon-ish, kinda. I've had a bit of a meh weekend, safe to say. Didn't exactly pan out the way that I'd hoped, but the thing is that trying to get into a habit of doing things is a lot more difficult than others. The fact that I just can't break that cycle of doing the same stuff that I'm used to doing. But it's another weekend of attempt and failure, so it is what it is. But it's Sunday, and that's always a guarantee that today is the day that I do some work in here. And as of hopefully Saturday next week, I'll be able to be doing the same consistent thing every weekend. So I'll be coming here on Saturdays. I keep saying this, but as I say, I'm really bad with cycles and actually doing, consistently. Anyway, it's Sunday, it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Obviously, with the BMW being gone for the second weekend in a row, I can still get lots of stuff done here, which I should be telling myself every single time that a day comes by. So the one thing that I do know that I can get done is that I can get little projects done on my other cars, because I do have plenty of them. One of which being this thing. Oh, we have lots of sheep roaming about today as well. Today, I'm going to be working on this, this lovely wee bee. The main problem on this whole chassis, one being the engine, because it's a little 1 litre and 54 horsepower, and two being the bodywork. Not necessarily the worst in the world, because this is incredibly clean for a Corsa B of this year. Vauxhall Corsa Breeze as they came out with. Basically, I never wanted to go down that route of 2 litre swapping it, because it's too traditional and I don't like that. Being my own car and I wanted to make it into what I could, I'm going to. So I said that I was going to discuss my plans with this car, and I don't know if I went into proper detail about it, but be all end all, I wanna do a lot of things with this car, and I don't really want to mention them until they kind of come into fruition. But the one thing I do know for the fact that this thing needs realistically is just, as I say, bodywork. Now, she's not looking too pretty for herself. Thing is that she still is from 1999. The very typical rust spots that you'd normally find on these things, this one kind of has. It's got cracks, it's got little rust patches, which I did attempt to fix at one point, but then I got halfway through and was like, I've got too much stuff going on, so I gave that up. Just like a lot of the body parts I had originally started. This was coming up kind of bad, but this is a lot worse than what it was. So I'm going to be addressing that. Again, door sills, nothing too major, just surface rust and that. I only washed this car like 2 days ago as well, which is even more infuriating as to... A couple of points in the door, which is, again, just surface rust. That is coming to the point where it's coming more than surface rust, but we're going to hopefully get that dressed. We've got the sill slowly coming away from its original underlay. So I'll be getting some of that done as well. Obviously, jacking points too are kind of coming away a wee bit. Yep, solid. The one biggest point of this car, particularly, is just like any other Corsa B. Now, I'll give you an example, right? So, guaranteed, actually, no, because I know for a fact this car doesn't even have this bit now anymore, because it's gotten so rusty out. So obviously this is another Corsa B. This isn't mine, it's one of John's friends. It's been completely stripped down. Your boy was obviously planning on doing a full restoration to it. But as you can see on this chassis, the whole rear end of this part behind the rear bumper is completely gone. And as you can see from further evidence down here, you can see it's very rusted out. So I can only imagine that this point back here, out here, was completely rotted out. Now, this is a very known common thing on Corsa Bs. So, my car does have this problem. Nowhere near as bad to the point that I'm having to take it out. So, my point, if I look underneath, yeah, there you go, you can see it from there. So, that is probably the worst point of the car, which, in realistic terms, ain't actually that bad. All things considered, he's got his completely off the car, so... Aye, safe to say, worst point of the car, but all in all, actually a really clean chassis. I had it up on a ramp when I was getting the tires changed on it at some point. I had a look underneath it. It was very clean. So at some point or another, this whole chassis is going to get a whole complete overhaul anyway. But for the time being, I might even think about painting it completely a different color, but I kind of like the blue. So I'm not going to do anything about it at the moment. All I'm going to do is just fix the little things that I have to do on this car. Now, the one problem that I do have at this location is the fact that I have no running water. I have one benefit of having Lecky, obviously, but yeah. So I brought this from my flat because it's been sitting in my flat for the longest time. This is all my valeting gear, and this is going to become quite a consistent thing of £2.50 in Tesco for 6 bottles of 1.5 litre of water, because I couldn't find anything bigger. So unfortunately it is what it is. But I'm going to get this pressure washer out because, as I say, it's been sitting in my flat for the longest time. And it shouldn't be. It should be down here. So, oh, I'm going to use 2 hands for this, actually. Sorry. And then that's just an empty bottle of water. Obviously, I'd done this before. So, main problem, obviously, down here being with my water system, because I don't have one. So, unfortunately, I will have to just continuously buy bottles of water. But at this point, I don't really care, because I love this place. And if the only thing I don't have is running water, I'm not complaining. So anyway, the one thing that I can say is that obviously with having those bottles of water, I will be able to start doing the whole sanding process, wet and dry, all the rest of it. I do have some old pieces of sandpaper and ones that have never been used. That's to find a grade to be using for what I'm doing today. So I went off to Halfers before I came down here and got a couple of bits and bobs to just help me out with the job and all the tools that I'm going to need. One being a wire brush, because my last one kind of canked itself already, even after like a couple of weeks worth of work. It's a bit annoying. And then dust sheet, masking tape, and the actual sandpaper that I'm probably going to end up using. So I've got all my tools, got the water, got all my sanding, well, I say I've got all my sanding kit, I've got all my painty kind of orientation of things. So, and I think I'll be using the majority of that stuff today. I do plan on doing the same kind of thing on the van at some point or another and just getting rid of its little imperfections. But yeah, main focus today is just getting the bodywork somewhat straightened out with regards to rust, because I'm not saying it's getting out of hand, but out of the time that I've had it, I've tried to resurrect 2 parts of it, obviously the door bits, and I ran out of time, lost focus, moved on to something else, and the next thing you know, they start coming back as worse as they left. So obviously don't half-ass one job, get it completely done. It's all to do with timing when it comes to paint, unfortunately. Time that I just don't have. But now that I've got 2 cars, I can actually leave this thing down here and take my van, which is perfect. So that's probably going to be the plan for today. Just, yeah, get on with some of the body parts. I know that obviously this has happened. I have no idea as to when that happened. That's really infuriating, because that actually goes all the way along the side of my car. I wonder where it stops actually. About there? All the way along there. And I have no idea as to who did that to my car, because I can tell you right now, it was not like that when I bought it. So, is what it is. Anyway, we're going to get started and we're going to make an effort into trying to revitalize this chassis a wee bit, just with little rot spots, you know. So I'm gonna click my fingers and we're gonna be everything set up, prepped, and yeah, it's gonna be a good time. So we're here now. I've taken it upon myself to, as I've said before, take total and utter advantage of the space that I have. So one thing that I kind of always wanted was a little paint booth most of the way through setting up. So as you can see, I've got the rear spoiler for the Corsa B. Now, I know for a fact that these things look mega after they're finished. It is a bit of a hassle to get it all fitted up, but at this point in time, we're just kind of picking up where I left off, which is at the very final touches. Now the thing is that obviously it's been a wee while since the last time I picked up the spoiler, and as you can see, I don't know if you can see, but there's a lot of defects in the spoiler now, mainly because, as I say, started it, didn't finish it, and that was my stupidity. So we have a pupper one. Hello, honey. Hello. Pupper two is somewhere, I'm not too sure where, but adorable. Anyway, so these guys have been distracting me. My parents came round as well, distracting me with what I'm gonna do with work and stuff like that, and mainly so my parents came round, they got to see the place a bit better. My mother was saying that we can get a guy to come in to do the cementing, which is a huge bonus. Can do it ourselves. We've got a next door neighbour who's a very good friend of ours, Gary, who is going to be coming round to help me out fill this up. So it will be at some point this week as well, because Gary's on a holiday for next week and he says he wants to get it done before his holiday. So so went to Halfords earlier on, got all the stuff that I need, so we're pretty much set and ready to go. All I need to do, as I've said, 1.5 litres of water, and I'm gonna wet sand pretty much from the top coat preparation. I might start, I'm not gonna start back again, but thing is that there are quite a few defects in this paint, so it'll be a lot of wet sanding for me, pretty much. The main problem that I had with this was the fact that I'd actually been given false information. The guy that had sold me the paint, he said that the gloss was so fine that I was probably not even going to need a layer of clear coat. Now, blatant lie, because if anyone knows anything about... Oi! Mirror! Right, there's number 2. Number 1 go, because it was number 1 that was barking. Number 2. Pretty much where we are at the moment, I just need to give this thing a good wet sand, clean it up, give it another coat, and hope that it's enough. It's probably going to be 2 coats, but I am just doing the top layer because the bottom layer got done last time and no one's going to be seeing that, and I was stupid enough to actually do the back. Really didn't have to, but I wanted it to look some sort of original, so if you were to take it off. So I'm just going to focus on the top half and wet sand, paint, hope for the best. I have planned on kind of hanging it up, just because I think it would probably be the best opportunity to get the best result is just letting gravity do its thing. I will have to wait for it to dry, obviously. It's a lot... Oh, there you are. Top coat, see how we go, and hope that I won't have to do too much on it because that paint is pretty expensive, and I do actually want to get some parts of the chassis maybe done today, or at least primered back up again, because a lot of it will need to get primered again. But for the time being, we're gonna get to wet sanding at this point and see how we go. Preparation, not really much. I mean, I say not much, it took me long enough, but setting the dust sheets up, cleaning all the units and that as much as I could, and some water on the floor. Anyway, right, I'm rambling. We're gonna get on and we're gonna see how far we can get. I also noticed there's a wee leak coming from the bee. It's because I've moved the car a wee bit forward, but I don't know if you can see. There's a little black dot of some sort of liquid underneath there, so well, you want my attention, then you leave me. Anyway, right, there's a wee leak coming from the Corsa B, and I want to see where the hell it's coming from, because last time I checked, there weren't any leaks. So gonna get started wet sanding, get on with tunes, and see how we get with the spoiler. Still got plenty of daylight, so pretty happy about that. But catch you in a bit. So we're here now, and unfortunately throughout the whole time that I was trying to do my spoiler and I got the first bit of sanding down, can't really see it now, but essentially it's feeling a hell of a lot smoother than it did when it was off. Not really much to do in that regard, just feels little bits of it that still need to get addressed, like underneath here, just still a wee bit rough around the edges from just it being sitting for long enough with nothing doing and gathering scratches and all the rest of it. But unfortunately, I say unfortunately, very fortunately, my parents decided to come and visit me down at the garage, which they never often do. Coming down to see about this bit of dirt here and measuring it out to see how much concrete we need, all the rest of it. And not long after that, my best mate came down, or one of my best mates came down to see me. So Gavin, he came down with a Burger King like we always used to. Ended up chatting for a good like 3-4 hours or so, just because of how long it had been since we've seen each other, and just managed to get a good catch up on that. But it's meant that time went by real quick, and especially when you're having good fun with good friends, or old friends anyway. So alas, I didn't get as much done as usual, as I originally planned, but Rome wasn't built in a day. And the thing is that I've been neglecting the time that I have down here. So I essentially am taking this as a calling card from Mother Nature telling me that I need to kind of get a shift on. After I finish work and stuff like that, I can't just be half-assing stuff and just expecting to get everything done all in one day, because that's just not how life works. So as of Monday, we're gonna come down here, we're gonna finish that spoiler, and we're gonna get to work on the Corsa, because I've still not done anything with that. It's sat here the whole time. So come Monday, come back down, finish the spoiler, hopefully get it installed, and start on the rest of the bodywork. Main reason why I want to do this is because it's the last part of the car that needs to go on before the whole thing gets changed, or at least touched up. So I want to get that done sooner rather than later. Start touching up all the little bits on the car that have just been neglected, and yeah. Oh, I need to turn off that light, that's why I went down there. Right. So yeah, we're gonna kick off tomorrow, hopefully get a video out for tomorrow night. So guys, I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.